The Trump team fights back against Juan Merchan in the Stormy Daniels case. The lawfare, this time he's on offense with his new legal team. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. This is where the happy patriots are. This is about a little bit of retribution on Trump's part. He's trying to get that whole case removed. I'll start by giving you a quick summary, which is the case background says Judge Juan Merchan, a seasoned New York judge, oversaw the historic criminal trial of former President Trump, centered around allegations of falsifying business records to cover up a $130,000 hush money payment made to adult star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. The case made Trump the first former U.S. president to be criminally convicted. Now, let's get to the article over here at Law and Crime. So here is the headline: appeals from each and every part. Trump's new legal team moved to undo hush money convictions. I believe this is to go after each and every part of the multiple counts, because they broke out every count against him as a separate count. Every time he made a payment to Michael Cohen, to Stormy Daniels through Michael Cohen, they broke it out as a separate charge. President Donald Trump has started the process of appealing his felony convictions in the New York City-based hush money case, according to a notice of appeal filed Wednesday. Now, this should do well for Trump. The threadbare filing is the first step in a likely to be lengthy process and is a formality that presages the filing of the actual appeal. So it's a pre-appeal appeal. The terse document reads, all caps, please take notice that President Donald J. Trump hereby appeals to the First Department of the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of the State of New York from the judgment of conviction attached hereto in Exhibit A, dated January 27th, 2025, and sentence rendered in the Supreme Court, New York County, from Judge Juan Merchan on January 10th, 2025, and further appeals from each and every part thereof and every intermediate order made therein. And that's it. So that's a very short legal document. I think it's great that they don't want to give away too much of their case. Just the minimum amount to get them in the court, and then they have to start doing discovery and giving everything to each other. Here we go. The appeal itself will almost certainly be opposed by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. In May of 2024, Trump was convicted on 34 counts of New York Penal Law Section 175.10, a felony offense that makes it a crime to falsify business records with the intent to commit or conceal another crime or aid in said commission or concealment. This is how the only way that Alvin Bragg could bump this up to a felony conviction was he had to cover up another crime, which is a felony. So they had to make up a crime and then use this as a cover-up. Significant legal wrangling ensued based on the 2024 presidential election in the U.S. Supreme Court, creating the concept of presidential immunity for criminal prosecutions. On January 3rd, New York Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchan denied myriad reprieves filed by the 45th and future 47th president's legal team in a blistering court order and signaled his intent to proceed with sentencing cabined by practical realities. So that's when Merchan said, I'm going to go ahead. He was in for sentencing. And the question was, would he go to jail? Would he get a fine? And then Juan Merchan just gave him this hand slap of a sentence. So saying he was still guilty of the crime, but that he would get off on the sentencing. There was no fine, no jail time, nothing of substance, no community service, which is very weird. For such a giant crime, they're setting a precedent now that the punishment is nothing. On January 6th, Merchan denied a stay pending appeal. The motions and arguments battle between Trump and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, that's Alvin Bragg, came to a head a few days later when the U.S. Supreme Court voted 5-4 to reject Trump's request that his sentencing hearing be delayed indefinitely. And remember, that went up to our Supreme Court And it was Amy Coney Barrett and Chief Justice Roberts that went along with the liberals, broke away from the conservatives, went along with liberals, and they sided, and this is what's dumb about Amy Coney Barrett especially, they sided that Trump wasn't going to face any jail time or any serious prosecution anyways, which is exactly why Juan Merchan uncharacteristically telegraphed to the public saying Trump was going to be sentenced, but he was not going to face jail time, wasn't going to get a fine, That was a message to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court is going, look, why should we get involved? Nothing's going to happen to him. So it worked on them. So then now Trump has no other recourse but to appeal it. But the bark was worse than the bite. On January 10th, Trump was sentenced by way of unconditional discharge, a form of punishment equating to no further consequences, which is typically used when a judge determines there's no good reason to impose further legal disability on a convicted criminal defendant. Earlier this month, the judge mused that such a sentence was the most viable way for the years-long case to finally exit his purview and allow the defendant to exhaust his appellate rights. Now, Trump is moving up the court ladder with the filing. The motion alerts Merchan that the case will be in the appellate zone soon. Notably, the president is now represented by a new 5-person team from white glove law firm Sullivan and Cromwell, LLP. So he's got new superstar lawyers, new superstar case. This is an appeal. Most people predicted that this thing would be overturned on appeal, so we'll see how corrupt and bad the appeals court is. And now remember, an appeals court's different than a normal judge. The appellate court, their job is to make sure that a case was not unfairly made. That is, they're used to kind of wanting and leaning into an appeal. They really don't want to overcharge anyone. So if this is an overcharge, and it is, then then he has no better chance than at an appeals court with the appeals court, no matter who appointed them. Although obviously, Trump has this magic effect of if anyone is appointed by Biden or Obama or Clinton, they automatically become a politicized judge. What do you guys think? Does Trump get off the hook here? Is this Juan Merchan's final loss a triumphant victory for Trump? I believe this thing will get overturned only because I heard enough legal scholars say this thing needs to be overturned on appeal. I'm Doug in exile.